The Greater Atlantic City Chamber is having a big impact in helping businesses to thrive and grow. We discussed the air show, assistance for small businesses, their workforce development, and AC Eats initiative. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. I'm happy to have as our guest Michael Chait. He is the president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber. He is helping in the recovery and restart of Atlantic City. Michael, welcome to Latino Motion.
Hi, Bert. Good seeing you. Thank you so much for having me.
And I know the Chamber plays a big part, right, in helping businesses in our community. And when we talk about the restart of Atlantic City, I mean, it's a lot of things, right? It's the restart from COVID, is the restart from a state takeover, is the restart from a economic downturn. So I know that you have to be very active in terms of helping your members to really rise up and continue to survive in this environment. Tell me, what are the key things that your organization is doing to help businesses?
Well, there is a lot to address, Bert, as you know. Certainly in Atlantic City, in the greater Atlantic City area, 70% of our membership is actually outside of Atlantic City. So what we seek is input from our membership. You know, we want to understand, we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. You know, so I want to better understand where our membership are, and different industries are experiencing different challenges. One challenge that's pretty consistent, regardless of what industry you're in right now, is workforce. You know, finding employees, whether you're in finance or hospitality, even law firms and attorneys, certainly healthcare, school bus drivers. So we work with our members and a variety of our partners to kind of understand the challenges, communicate that to our elected officials, to our department heads at the state level, and then communicate that information back so they understand the pain that we're having. And then we work at a committee level with our members to try and come up with solutions to help these situations. They're not easy solutions. Sometimes they take a long time to analyze and figure out, but it takes that collaboration and that communication in order to advance our efforts and our initiatives.
And Michael, I know that when we talk about Atlantic City and we're talking about the Greater Atlantic City Chamber, what often comes to mind is maybe the casinos, the big businesses. But the bulk of your membership is really small businesses, right?
Oh, without a doubt. We have 400 members for our chamber, and you figure there's only less than a dozen casinos, and hotels and major partners. Like Atlantic County, there's a number of significant large businesses, but the overwhelming majority of our businesses that we work with are small businesses, and they've struggled mightily. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had 500 members, and to date, right now, we have 400. And a lot of those businesses, unfortunately, have closed as a result of the pandemic, even though there was some tremendous funding resources like the payroll protection program and EIDL loans that helped them for a little bit, but it wasn't sustainable.
It's like many Americans, small businesses, many of them live paycheck for paycheck, so to speak, right? And just having any downtime could be pretty critical for a business, particularly with the COVID shutdown. Let's talk about, you mentioned some of the assistance available. There is even brand new assistance that you have information for that could really help some of the businesses, particularly small businesses. Let's talk about those.
The NJEDA will be hosting several virtual webinars that will be recorded, but I encourage everybody interested in learning more about these programs to visit njeda.com. There you'll see recent press releases in regards to this, and you'll see some upcoming programming. I've reached out to the NJEDA to do some programming on our own to better understand the two grant opportunities, but they seem really encouraging.
Now, Michael, I know that within our Latino community, there are a lot of small businesses. Tell me a little bit about the advantages of the chamber, and are you doing anything specifically to attract more of those minority businesses to join your organization?
Yeah, I think that's a big missed opportunity for our organization as we look to help one of the most diverse markets in the state. You know, you look at Atlantic County and you look at the diversity that's here in Atlantic County, and it's quite impressive. You know, being a lifelong resident of Atlantic City and being engaged with your minority communities, certainly the Hispanic community, you know, we're looking at ways and going through strategic planning actually right now. We recently hired a new person to help us with member services, to engage with various communities and various small business owners to help them engage. But what we can offer, what we can do is really connect, inform, and advocate for. The more members we have that are engaged, the better informed we are as an organization, and it puts us in a better position to have a collective voice as we advocate on behalf of the business community. We need to understand the pains, the challenges, and help explain some of the opportunities that exist for our small business community members. Certainly, the minority communities have always been a challenge for us to reach, just because we haven't had the staff. We were so focused on retention and finding some new members that we've got to make a really conservative effort to engage better with our minority communities. And you've been a great conduit and a great partner to help us do that.
Michael, let's talk about what the benefits would be for someone to join a chamber. Obviously, there is some time and effort and cost associated with a membership, but are the benefits outweigh those time and costs?
You know, you look at joining an organization like ours, and a business organization, a chamber of commerce, and you have to look at, do you have the time to be engaged? You know, can you participate on one of our 4 committees: membership, events, economic development, or public policy? You know, does your engagement and better understanding of the legislation that's coming out about the economic development opportunities, grant funding, et cetera, benefit your organization more than the $240 to $300 membership for a small business to join? What about the network connections? You know, chambers are kind of a cog in a wheel that really help with network development. And that's what we look at. You build and maintain and enhance some of the relationships that you already have. That can be tremendous value to your organization, because sometimes it only takes one connection. You know, that's what we bring to the table. Unfortunately, through the pandemic, we had to do a lot of that virtually. But 2022, we have a really aggressive an ambitious plan to bring live event and in-person events back. We're looking to get our members re-engaged with some of these networking and thought-sharing forums that are so valuable to our small businesses.
And that's something we want to get into in the next segment, particularly some of the major events that the Chamber has been responsible for. Do you feel that a lot of these small businesses are really missing out on opportunities by not being part of the Chamber?
I do. And we certainly learned that through the pandemic. You know, our database is only so big. So we realized that some of the small businesses, they weren't set up properly in order to qualify for some of these. We can help them with that. The transition going from a brick and mortar to an online, we are a Google partner. We can help with that. There are, a number of resources that we can help small businesses connect with other small businesses and other large businesses to help them with sustainability for their own business. So I think that's part of it. That's part of it.
That's critically essential. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Michael Chait. He is the president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber. And Michael, we were talking about some of the challenges that many businesses are going through and some of the assistance. You mentioned some of the programs, assistance that are available for them. And we'll put up that website again for information. But let's talk about summer of 2021. I believe it was a relatively great summer for businesses, but you helped in a big way with major events like the air show. Tell me about those.
Yeah, this summer we anticipated a large want and interest to get back to some sense of normal behavior and a want to get back to outdoor recreation. We have our greatest asset are the beaches and the boardwalks. You know, we have incredible hospitality, of great dining, great restaurants, and we started to see things relax probably late May, early June. And then we saw everybody come back to Atlantic City and have a great time in a safe and responsible environment. The Casino Association did a tremendous job with how they welcomed everybody back. But as we talk about large scale events, we have operated the Atlantic City Air Show for the past 18 years. It is the state's largest event. This year was the most challenging event I've ever worked on for the Atlantic City, the Atlantic City Air Show. And I spent 9 years at Boardwalk Hall in the Atlantic City Convention Center doing events, the Press of Atlantic City for 3 years, and also 3 years in Cape May as the marketing director doing a variety of events there. Air show was a challenge. One, we didn't know what the restrictions would be planning an event like that and working with the military teams. It takes time. We start booking performers in December and start planning in advance. The event, tremendous support from AtlantiCare, the City of Atlantic City, South Jersey Transportation Authority, police, fire, the 177th Air Force, Army. There are about 24 organizations that participate at a very high level to pull off this event. And it is not easy to do in a normal year, let alone a year like this. Sponsorship revenue was down for the event because some of your corporate partners could not sponsor large outdoor gatherings at this time. And we completely understand that. We understood that it was going to be a challenge to pull it off, but we were able to put a plan together in June once restrictions relaxed. The event happened in August. We welcomed over 400,000 people to the amazing city of Atlantic City. We had beautiful weather. We had an amazing show. We provided approximately $50 to $70 million in economic impact in one day. It is a tremendous event. It was a sense of pride and joy for so many people coming back. The best part about it, Bert, is it's a free event. Beaches are free in Atlantic City. The air show's free. There's only a small area that we use to help generate some revenue to cover the event for the current year and going in the next year. So
I tell you that
success.
That was an amazing success given COVID. But that number, the number you mentioned, excuse me, in terms of economic impact, let's make it clear that this has a ripple effect throughout South Jersey. So it's not just Atlantic City benefiting. What happens in Atlantic City does have a ripple effect throughout South Jersey.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that point up, Bert. If you look at the service industry and where our services can buy, where we rent tents from, where we get bottled water from, product from, Liberty Coca-Cola, we're with a number of companies that are in that greater Atlantic City area that provide services. So if you look at the service industry that comes in, it's an enormous ripple effect, not just in the city of Atlantic City.
So I tell you, I did enjoy the air show. I was there with my son. It was a beautiful day. Great show. And I could sympathize with the challenge. I mean, we also hosted the Latino Festival on September the 25th, a one-day event, outdoor event. And we understand the challenges, don't know what kind of requirements you're going to have to put in place because of COVID. But fortunately, We did have great numbers, and it was a wonderful event.
No, that's tremendous that you had a great event. It was hard. It was hard for us to find bottled water and porta potties and things you would never take into consideration for the event. And we lost a couple performers just days before the event because they had to go to Afghanistan. These are things that you can't predict and forecast with the events, but they're challenges on top of the pandemic. So it was great support from a lot of people, including Atlantic City Electric. They were an enormous helper. Meet AC, CRDA, it takes a village. It really does.
Are there any other major events that you supported or are planning to support?
Well, there's going to be events throughout as we go into the winter, it kind of dies down a little bit. But we work very closely with Meet AC in supporting their initiatives in bringing conventions into town. We spent a lot of time working with elected officials on something called a Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, where we supported those initiatives and tried to provide information from the event industry. That Shuttered Venue Operator Grant provided a lot of money to event promoters to get them geared up for the winter and the fall because they had no revenue, zero, for any event during the time of the pandemic. So in order to get an event started, as you know, Bert, it takes some revenue stream. So sponsorship revenue declines. My ticket sales are questionable. Where do I get revenue to maintain my small business? So we spent a lot of time with our elected officials to ramp these businesses up for the summer, or for the fall and the winter months as we go into the spring. But I think next year, as you start seeing the spring and the summer come back next year, there's going to be a full slate of events from not just us, but a number of other organizations and companies. We're hearing a lot of good things.
So, Michael, not to switch gears, but still staying with businesses. I know that many folks may think this is a bad time to start a business, but still, with job losses and etc., many people want to be their own boss, want to start their own business. What kind of assistance can you talk about that may be available for those who want to start a small business?
Yeah, I think it's tough to start your own business at any time, let alone during a pandemic. So when you're coming out of this pandemic, one, you want to talk to the chamber, and we will help connect you with other businesses, whether it's attorneys or human resource professionals, to learn what you have to understand. We have land use attorneys that we work with consistently. We connect you with policy groups like the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. There's the Atlantic County Economic Alliance. There are a tremendous amount of resources available to small businesses that they're just not aware of. And we help make those connections. We certainly are not the one stop and have all of the answers. But what we can do is we know who has those answers and can help connect you with them.
And Michael, I'll put a plug in for LAEDA out of Camden, who have also expanded to Atlantic County, Cumberland County, throughout South Jersey here. And they do offer some workshops in Spanish as well for those who may want to start a small business.
They're a fantastic organization. There were a lot of good things. I really got familiar with your organization during the pandemic. I took over as chamber president January 1, 2020. So it was, here we go. So I think getting familiar with some of those other organizations, there's a lot of really, really good organizations that do a lot of good work that can help small businesses get off the ground. But they've got to remember, just starting a business is one thing. Maintaining and sustaining, it's another thing.
Amen. Let's take a quick break. We want to come back and talk about workforce development. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Michael Chait. He is the president of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber. And Michael, we've just had such a great discussion about a great event, the air show, some of the initiatives that you have undertaken. And one of them around workforce development is an important development that we want to talk about. Tell me about that particular program.
Yeah, certainly during our time at the Chamber and the organization, we've always had a vested interest in initiatives centered around workforce development. Let me go back a couple years to one of my first meetings with the military teams as we booked performers for the air show. What we learned about why they do air shows and their target market. And what they talked about was flying for them is point A to point B. It's mode of transportation. But for everything else, it's to inspire and educate area youth about career opportunities in the military. So you continue that conversation and learn a little bit more about those opportunities, about cybersecurity, culinary programming, everything, engineering, architecture, above and beyond what you think typical quote unquote military is. We took that and we worked with the U.S. Air Force on bringing a new fighter jet to Atlantic County. And where we received the red flag from the U.S. Air Force was on graduation rate in the Atlantic County area. So we started looking into how we can inspire and educate area youth about what careers exist here. Can we improve graduation rate? Can we keep our local kids here? I'm born and raised in Atlantic City. I came back to the area. This is my home. I'm invested here. I want to have my family here. I want to have my career here. I want others to see those opportunities as well. We have a tremendous export of area youth, and we want to show them opportunities that aren't just jobs here in Atlantic County, but careers and good careers.
So Michael, what's the mechanic behind that? I mean, how or what are the elements of the program where you could reach these youth, particularly our minority community here in Atlanta City and the greater Atlanta City area?
Yeah, I think you have to start with your school systems. You start with Atlantic County School District. So that way your outreach is through every possible school district there is. It provides us with diversity, equity, opportunity for everyone once you start disseminating it through the schools. That's where we started a foundation for what we're calling a career exploration program. So we're working with schools, and we brought together some of our board members to have these conversations as to what's already exists, what is missing from the piece, and how do we enhance what's going well. It's that stop, start, continue concept. But really, you have to start with the school district initially. I think it'll grow organically from there, but the real foundation is the school districts.
Yeah, and basically educating not just the kids, but parents as well, in terms of what career opportunities are available right here in South Jersey. And some folks, you mentioned about the export of kids. They go to school outside the area. They tend to find a job outside the area. We have some great colleges here with ACCC, which I'm a proud graduate of, and Stockton, which I attended. So we have the education here. We want to attract those kids to stay here, and exposing them to those careers is vitally important.
It is. It's critical. If we keep our local talent here, think of how much we can grow, Bert. Whether they work for Atlantic City Electric, or they work for Stockton, or they work for Offshore Wind, or the FAA, or Atlantic Care. It doesn't matter where they go. What matters is that they understand and that they see the opportunities here, and we keep them local. They're already invested in our communities. Let's show them opportunities to keep their families here and grow.
And Michael, that there's a great need, particularly within the minority community, that has, when you talk about the dropout rate is greater within the minority communities, Latino and African American communities. So certainly there has to be some targeted programs directly to that community as well.
Absolutely. I think that's critical that we do that. We want to show area youth what the opportunities are for them and to get into those programs. And I think the next part of what we do, the evolution of this program after education, is really looking at some of your faith-based organizations, some of your minority organizations. How do we incorporate everybody to extend the reach of our message as to how we can help them, help them. That's the whole goal of this, is to keep these kids local by helping them and showing them opportunities and inspiring them with careers that exist here. It's going to help our communities, and a connected business community is a thriving community overall. So keeping kids here, growing communities, getting a good talent pipeline is all really, really important as we grow. I think there's a lot of that already exists on some levels, but just pulling it all together. And the other part is we need to hear back from the kids and the parents. What do you want? What do you want to hear? We're talking to chambers all over the country, and that communication in working with youth and hearing back from them has made the biggest difference in their programs.
Michael, certainly, I know there's a lot of organizations that want to work with you. And do you feel that the business community is engaged in trying to build that future workforce? A lot of them are focused on the day, today, and now, but are they engaged on developing the future workforce?
I think they are. You certainly look at Atlantic City Electric, South Jersey Industries, Atlantic Care, some of your larger partners, the casino organizations, they're highly invested in growing that and making efforts. It's going to take all of us to participate and to get that message across as to what opportunities exist here. You certainly see it at the elementary school level, a little bit more with STEM programming. You see it at ACIT and Egg Harbor Township High School. You see it at the Boys and Girls Club with some of the tremendous programming they're doing. So you're seeing it in all these pockets all over the place. What we want to do is kind of pull it all together and give our 60 board members, our 400 business members, the opportunity to tell their story about what opportunities exist with them to these already pockets of existing collaborative environments that help share career opportunities with area youth.
I want to talk about the program that I neglected to mention earlier about Atlantic City Eats program.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So Atlantic City Eats is a fun program. It's a Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, you want to search Atlantic County Eats. You'll see there's 22,000 members. It is a group that the Greater Atlantic City Chamber created. We still moderate it. It was to support the business, the food and beverage business community during the pandemic shutdown. When everything shut down, restaurants were left with only takeout and delivery, and that's how the page created. It has grown into its own animal, and we manage that group, and we eliminate all the negative commenting. We encourage people, if you have a poor experience, go back to the place of business, tell the business owner, tell the manager about your experience, let them respond, give them an opportunity to fix the problem. Just posting it on social media is a terrible platform.
And I think this will be a great opportunity for many of the Latino businesses, particularly the local restaurants that have great food here and around the city of Atlantic City.
We have a tremendous ethnic food scene in Atlantic County, tremendous. I would encourage any restaurant to post a photo. Tell us your story. Tell us about your menu options. Pictures say a lot about food, and we all eat. So we've heard from restaurants that have kept them alive through the pandemic through this group. So please, it's going to keep going. We're starting to see engagement now from Philadelphia and North Jersey, people joining this group. So please, please, please encourage everybody to visit Atlantic County Eats on Facebook.
Well, Michael, thank you so much. Great information, and continue to help us small businesses. We do need the support of the Greater Atlantic City Chamber with your leadership. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.